Horizons, the space where real stories meet real transformation. I'm your host, Pragya Maurya, and today we are diving into a journey that so many women will see themselves in. And not just women, many more people. Peggy Moore spent over 25 years as a critical care nurse, caring for others while silently running on empty herself. Burnout, exhaustion, and feeling dismissed by the system left her searching for answers conventional medicine could not give. But what happened next changed everything. Peggy discovered functional medicine, healed her own body, and created the Thrive after 40 to help countless women reclaim energy, balance, and joy in their lives. If you've ever felt tired in a way that sleep does not fix, or like your struggle were visible into the world, this conversation is just for you. So sit down, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. First of all, thank you, Peggy. Thank you for being here, and it's such an honor to host you today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's start with this that, so many of us would relate to this that we just push through the tiredness, the headaches, the brain fog, thinking that, this is just how life is now, and this is how life is meant to be, and this is how life goes, basically. So, was there a moment when you realized that, no, this isn't normal, this isn't something that you want for yourself, and you had to take your healing into your own hands?
Yes, absolutely. So interesting enough, there were several times I would go to the doctor. I complained that I was having trouble sleeping. And so they gave me a pill and sent me home. I was just tired all the time and I didn't feel good. Same thing. They were like, this is your lifestyle. You are a nurse and a mother. So you're just busy. That's just the way it is. I went in because I was having some anxiety and I uh, still wasn't sleeping well. Same thing. They just gave me another pill and sent me home. And so, after continuous trying to have go to conventional medicine doctors and explain my symptoms, the things that were going on, that I just wasn't feeling good. I was tired all the time, but when it came to go to sleep, I couldn't go to sleep. I had gained some weight and I couldn't get rid of the weight. And I was trying to live this busy lifestyle of a working mom. Finally, I was met someone. I did a couple different things. First, I really looked into life coaching and mental health and really tried to work on my mental health and see maybe it was just all in my head, right? And so I worked on that and that helped tremendously, but it didn't help with a lot of the physical symptoms of just being tired and fatigued and achy and not sleeping. And that's when I found a functional medicine provider. And by talking with her, it was so nice to have someone really listen to all the things that were going on and not dismiss them. And we were able to do some labs and get to some of the root causes of things going on. I actually had Hashimoto's and was working on some pre-diabetes and insulin resistance, metabolic dysfunction. Uh, my gut wasn't, we did some gut testing. My gut wasn't working well. So we were able to find some root causes and really work on some things to help me heal my body and to feel better. And that's when I kind of thought, well, I'm going to transition now. I've been doing ICU for 20 years. I'm ready to get in some prevention type medicine and be more proactive with my health. And it really inspired me to be able to teach others how to be proactive and with their health and use more prevention techniques and still until waiting till we get sick.
First of all, thank you for sharing your story. Just a snippet of it, but yeah, thank you for it. Also, see, personally, I believe that, healthcare systems, sometimes they overlook the personal stories, right? And they just focus merely on the lab results and all of that. So, what do you have to say on that?
Yes, actually, because I lived in the conventional medicine world for so long, and when I started looking at functional medicine, I wanted to see what's the difference? What are they not What are they missing? And the problem is, I feel, with conventional medicine is they're very much a system of they need symptoms to equal a disease to equal a medication to fix it. So let's take diabetes, for example. Diabetes, pre-diabetes and insulin resistance, which I was having symptoms of, can show up almost 10 years before a conventional medicine doctor will even treat it. So conventional medicine only looks at some specific markers and then they wait till they get too high. And then they tell the patient, your markers are too high. Now we need to put you on some medicine like metformin or maybe even insulin at that time. Functional medicine looks at those markers and a couple other markers to look at and see we're creeping up to this point and we need to let's try to fix it before it gets too far. Conventional medicine, I feel, is taught a specific way of thinking. Disease process, let's fix it with a pill. They're not really taught. And if you ask conventional medicine doctors, they're not taught nutrition and they're not taught a lot of preventional medicine type practices. They're taught to fix the problem. I spent 20 years in the ICU fixing problems that people came in with, but a lot of it related to lifestyle choices and other things that might could have been prevented or at least not had ended up so bad that they ended up in the ICU. So I love the way that functional medicine digs in a little deeper. We as functional medicine practitioners have more time to spend with our patients, I have to admit. Conventional medicine doctors are doing what they can within the framework that they have, which is usually they can spend 15 to 20 minutes with a patient. I spend more like an hour, 45 to an hour, getting to know my patient and all the things going on, looking at it from a holistic perspective.
So great. And to be very honest, I totally agree to whatever you said. Also, for our listeners, functional medicine, it can actually sound, like a big technical term. So can you please define it for us? Also, for someone who is juggling work, family, and life, what is that one simple everyday way it looks different from the usual take this pill approach that all of us have, whenever we're a bit tired, we are feeling a bit not into our senses, we usually take a paracetamol or a painkiller. But what is the approach that functional medicine it follows?
So, absolutely. So, the nice thing about functional medicine, I feel, is they really look at root causes. So, there's some laboratory tests that functional medicine look at that doctors do not. I'll give you the example of my Hashimoto's. So, for years, I had had issues with my thyroid, and Hashimoto's is an inflammatory disease, autoimmune type disease of the thyroid. I would go in. Actually had a 5 centimeter tumor at one point. I called my doctor and I said, I think I have something wrong with my thyroid. I think I have like a knot on it. And his exact words were, I doubt it, but you can come in and we'll check. And I came in, they found the 5 centimeter tumor. It had to be taken out. Luckily, it was benign, but my thyroid levels were, quote, normal. So he was like, they're normal. You're fine. We'll take it out. Go along your way. A lot of these symptoms of the fatigue and the weight gain and not feeling good had to do with my thyroid. So years later, about 20 years later, I was still having issues with my thyroid. I had several nodules. It was swollen. I was having problems with inflammation and I went to my doctor and I got my tests done and he was like, they're all perfectly in the normal range. Well, when I talked to my functional medicine provider, they were able to look at some other lab tests called thyroid antibodies. And that's something that conventional medicine doesn't really look at because they figure if you've got problems with your thyroid, I'm just going to give you Synthroid. But my functional medicine doctor was able to take it a little bit further and look at my thyroid antibodies. My thyroid antibodies were in the thousands. And for a thyroid, it should be around 70. So that told us, oh, wow, something really is going on. So where conventional medicine told me your levels are fine because they only check a couple things, my functional medicine provider was able to dig a little deeper and find out more. Oh, this is what's going on. Your thyroid is inflamed. Your thyroid is basically attacking itself. And so, therefore, your body is not working properly. So, functional medicine is a type of practice that goes a little deeper to look at the root cause of what is causing the imbalance in your body. So, for the Hashimoto's, for prediabetes, for metabolic resistance, all those kinds of things, we dig a little deeper and find out what's the root cause. And then we're able to look at the whole picture. So we were able to look at that Hashimoto's, my prediabetes, my metabolic resistance, looking at the whole picture to determine some lifestyle changes, some supplements, some other things that I could do to help heal my body. So one of the things I did, because you asked some of the things that we did, one of the things I did was really heal. Number one, Hashimoto's has some specific factors. One is gluten. So gluten actually mimics your thyroid. And when I learned that, I'm like, oh, okay. So gluten mimics my thyroid and my body is getting too much of it and it's starting to attack it. So I did have to totally cut out gluten from my diet. And within 3 months, my antibody levels went from 2000 down to 70. I felt so much better. The swelling in my neck, the swelling in my face, the inflammation became so much better. I also did a gut protocol. So I healed my gut. So for so many of us eating the American diet, eating processed food, things that are artificial sweeteners, artificial thickeners, things that sneak into our food when we're eating a lot of packaged food for convenience, of course, aren't good for our body. And so our body attacks those things and then it can't work properly. So I did some lifestyle changes with nutrition, some things that I eat. I was able to find some supplements that supported my body through this change. And I took some time to really take care of my body and figure out what was going on holistically, all the systems, and tried to heal from there. And as I was healing my gut and healing my thyroid, I worked on my stress levels. 20 years of ICU nursing kind of tells you what kind of person I am. I'm kind of a type A. I'm used to living off of adrenaline and cortisol, and I'm used to being stressed. And so having to really teach my body, I had a great coach that really helped me learn how to recognize that stress within my body and be able to calm my body down to not only feel more relaxed and feel better, but also to allow my body to heal instead of constantly being in a state of stress.
Mm. First of all, that was so insightful. And I actually love that because, the big changes that we often, s- take, they often start with small and doable things, like sometimes switching one habit at a time. You shared so many insights with us today. Thank you for that. Also, you talk about healing the whole person, but in real life, we often treat them separately, right? Like we might hit the gym, but we ignore stress. We focus at one thing at a time. Or, we meditate, but we also skip meals. That is so me because if I'm working on myself, I'll probably ruin something else or some routine of mine, which is not a very good thing. But, so our mind, body, or spirit, these are, been neglected so much. And yes, so do you also see these patterns? And what is your take on that?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things why I love functional medicine. It is able to look at the whole person. So, mind, body, and spirit. Because I have that background of life coaching, I've been able to work with many clients on working on thought processes. But I love putting functional medicine in because I'm able to look at the mind, also the body, and the spirit and helping someone like I was helped. So my functional medicine consultant was able to put the whole picture together. And yes, I do think you have to take it one step at a time. Working with a patient or a client and helping them individualize a plan for them. I can kind of tell when my clients are overwhelmed when I start talking about gut health and your thyroid and prediabetes and metabolic function and this and that, and they get super overwhelmed. Wonderful thing is this has been going on for a long time. Usually these things have snuck up, so let's just take our time. Let's take our time and look at this one by one. Let's look at the whole picture. What do you really want? Imagine how it would feel to not be tired all the time, to wake up in the morning and not have to jump on that caffeine first thing. When 3 p.m. hits in the afternoon, to not have to grab that caffeinated drink so that you can get through the rest of the day. Imagine how it would feel to have energy throughout the entire day, to not feel tired and fatigued, to not be achy, to be able to go to bed at night and to sleep all night long. So, as we imagine those things and talk about what's important to that specific client, those were the things that were important to me. Part of my story is being able to sleep all night, to have the energy to get through my day without constantly living off of caffeine, and to heal my body. And by looking at focusing on my mind, my body, and my spirit, and taking my time and integrating just one thing at a time. Over time, I was able to heal. And when I recognized how much better I felt, that kind of gave me momentum to do a little more, so that now I'm able to get through my day without having caffeine to hold me up. Now, when I go to sleep at night, I have a nighttime routine. I'm able to calm myself down. I'm able to go to sleep and I sleep all night. It is a wonderful thing.
It surely is, and I'm so glad, that you've come here and you've been sharing your personal stories and how functional medicine it basically has been a great, source of your transformation. There are a lot of women, who chalk up mood swings and weight changes or, fatigue. They just label it as, just aging or just stress or just their hormones. So, what are some early red flags that you see, know, wherein we really need to look up to those red flags, and those basically those tell us that, hey, pay attention, your body, it needs help. So, yeah, what are those early signs that you feel should be taken care of, and how should they be taken care of?
Yes, absolutely. And I think they kind of creep up on you. And yes, doctors tend to say, you're just getting older. And I'm like, I'm not that old. I'm in my 50s, but I'm like, come on, you can't tell me that I have to feel this miserable for the rest of my life. I think a lot of the symptoms, the red flags that kind of creep up on us are this chronic fatigue. So, feeling tired all the time, reaching for that caffeine. When I talk to my clients, if you're having to live basically off of caffeine in order to get through your day, that's actually a problem. I think we talk about it. I know and when I worked ICU, we would talk about it. We would joke about it all the time because we all lived off of caffeine. I had friends that would live off of coffee all day long. I have other friends that would live off of energy drinks. I personally was a Diet Pepsi drinker. So I would drink like 8 Diet Pepsis a day just to get me so that I could work through the day. And that's actually a sign that shouldn't be happening. You should be able to get through your day without stimulants, believe it or not. And I think that was such a foreign concept to me at that time. I was like, no, there's no way because this is just what I do. And when I was able to slowly step back from using caffeine all day long. Now I'm pretty much caffeine free. I don't need that to wake up and get my day going and go throughout the day. I'm like, wow, I feel so much better because when we rely on things like that, caffeine and sugar, we get that high and then we crash. And then we go to the caffeine and sugar again, and we get that high, and then we crash. And then we're on this roller coaster where we're just not feeling good. So I think the number one sneaky sign in there is chronic fatigue. One of the other signs, I think, is this unexplained weight gain. I know a lot of women, once they hit their 35 or 40s, they start to gain weight and they have no idea why. And so what they do is they kind of panic. I did this. Kind of panic, and then we turn to things like a keto diet. And I'm not saying a keto diet is bad. I'm just saying that's what we turn to. So we stop eating any carbs, and then we start feeling deprived, and then we have to have our cheat day. And then that really does a lot of negative things actually to our metabolism. And so then we continue in this spiral of gaining this belly weight, not able to get rid of it. We kind of panic. We might exercise more. We might cut our calories more when a balanced kind of diet, balanced kind of exercise can help our body more, especially in later life. In later life, in our 40s and 50s, and so on, when our hormones are doing a lot of changes and our body is having to balance that out, we need to recognize that eating a more balanced kind of meal with protein, absolutely, lots of fruits and vegetables, but also a little bit of carbs because our body needs those carbs to run off on. So, some good carbs, some sweet potatoes, some quinoa, barley, something that's going to give you a little bit of fullness. And if you're eating that balanced plate, you're not going to have those sugar cravings. So you're going to feel better if you're really prioritizing your sleep. And I teach women how to calm themselves down, have a nighttime routine so that their mind and body is getting ready for bed. So prioritizing that sleep, getting the rest that you need, eating that balanced plate can go a long way in helping you manage that chronic fatigue, actually give you the energy that you need to get through the day and do all the things that you need to do.
That really makes sense. And yes, there are certain other things that actually are needed. As you mentioned, carbohydrates, you mentioned so many things that we have a lot to talk about, Dawn. Um, also, your Thrive After 40 method, it basically catches a lot of my attention. And it is basically so full of hope. So, why do you believe that it is never too late for a woman to feel vibrant again, even if she's struggled for years? And this is just a thought. What is basically Thrive After 40 method? And yes, how would you like to preach it to people? And yeah.
Yes. So the metabolic reset after 40, or my thriving after 40 method really helps to look at women with these sneaky signs of chronic fatigue, explained weight gain, digestive issues, brain fog, chronic pain, the inflammation that I talked about. We look at getting at the root cause of what is going on. So looking at those labs and um, doing a really good whole body system review. I want to know your whole story of what is going on and how you're feeling and when these things started creeping in so that we can address all these issues and get you feeling better, like your old self again, help you to lose that weight, give you more energy where you don't have that inflammation so that you feel better, so that you're sleeping better and that you're able to get through your day without relying on caffeine or sugar to keep you up.
So true. And yeah, can you please share a story of an anecdote wherein, somebody thought that it was too late, but they ended up, transforming their life completely. So that, our listeners, they can resonate with today's conversation even more.
Yes, absolutely. So let me think. I have a few clients, but I do have one client. She was a little bit older, so in her 60s, and she was like, I'm just done, I feel like basically explained that she just felt so miserable. She wasn't able to do the things she wanted to do, like play with her grandbabies. Garden was another thing that she wanted to do. She's like, I find myself like taking naps throughout the day. My joints are achy. And so we were able to meet together and talk about what her goals were, what she would really like to see in her life, which was to have the energy to play with her grandbabies, to be able to garden. We were able to do the labs that we needed to do. So we looked at her gut health. We looked at her hormones, what was going on with her cortisol and her female hormones. We looked at the labs that tell us about prediabetes, that tell us about inflammation. So we did this root cause analysis and really dug in and figured out what was going on with her. And we started a step by step process. And I met with her, I think we're going on about a year, and she is doing fabulous. Little by little, she was able to make these changes, and she did some changes in her diet. We did some changes in her sleep patterns. We learned She learned some meditation, like you said, some meditation, some ways to be able to balance her body out, to help her body relax and be able to release that cortisol, release that weight, be able to decrease the inflammation. And I have to say that she is not taking any naps during the day. She was very surprised at how much energy she has now. She's like, compared to a year ago, I'm amazed at how much energy I have to wake up in the morning, to do the things that I want to do, to go over to my daughter's house and play with my grandbabies, to be able she's now playing pickleball, which is so funny because that's kind of a thing that older women are doing now. But yeah, so she's like, I'm able to do the things that I wanted to do because I've healed my body and I'm healing my body. It's a journey, right? So she is taking care of herself and feeling so much better. And that's what I love to do. That's what I love to help people realize that just by making some simple changes, they can feel so much better.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story with us. And these stories, these are not just stories, these are actually real life instances. And, they give us all hope and proof, that the body and the spirit are that they are so, so much capable of so much more than we actually think. Do you agree?
Yes.
Also, listeners, today's conversation with Peggy, it leaves us with one simple but powerful truth that burnout, it does not have to be the end of the story, okay? And through functional medicine and a whole person approach, Peggy shows us that healing is not just about removing pain. It is also about rebuilding energy, joy, and balance from the inside out. So if you're listening and feeling worn down, let this be your reminder that it is not too late. Your body can heal, your energy can return, and your spirit can thrive again. Until next time, this is Pragya Malviya inviting you to step into your own healing horizon because transformation it begins the moment you choose it. So thank you so much for being with us today. And I would love to thank you, Peggy, for so many insights and for bringing this concept to us. And I hope listeners they resonate with you, even if one person, thinks of and, tries on getting on the path of transformation. Our task is done.